your goal as a teacher is to bring your students to that awareness, to that point, to that kind of zone. And so,
yes,
right?
but in a class, this is going to take place 200 times perhaps.
Yeah.
In the class.
So you can't really plan it. You got to respond to your students' needs as they manifest.
Absolutely. So I see student X there struggling with something or other, and I can just give a little nothing, right, which will just push him in the direction which will make him have an awareness. So, and yes, Catenio talked in French about chic-node, and chic-node is that kind of a movement, just some tiny little nothing that will cause a student to have a different view of something, or to see something differently, which will click. That's another way of talking about
kind
awareness.
Of nudging.
The penny dropped, we say in English, for example. There are all sorts of expressions, but what we need is, I think, this technical expression, which is an awareness, and then we can start counting them.
And it's important to say that these awarenesses happen as a result of us noticing something. They're not the same as us being given an item of knowledge. Being told something is not the same as noticing it for yourself. And when you have an awareness, it's perhaps most obvious when you have these big aha moments. So I mean, one of the great insights of Catenio was to realize that something which happened, which is so overwhelming and happens at such a macroscopic level, is also happening at the daily level in very small, tiny things. And there's a sort of a qualitative uniformity between the whole thing. This is how we learn. But the effect of having an awareness is, in some way, I'm slightly different. I see the world very slightly differently as a result of having had this awareness. Now, it might be that I see the world hugely different because I've had an awareness which converts me from being something to being a Christian, if you're Saul on the road to Damascus or whatever, or you have your Pythagoras jumping out, or Archimedes jumping out of the bath and suddenly having realized something huge. Then you're seeing the world in a completely different way. But even at a very small level, you have an awareness and somehow you're a changed person. You see the world in a tinily different way than you did before. And this will enable you automatically to respond differently to the world in the future. It's not a matter of having to remember some bit of knowledge I was told and apply that. You are a different person, and so you will respond differently. And that's one of the most satisfactory definitions of learning, is that, on a regular basis, I will respond differently to the world as a result of having learned something. So, and I think there's a key difference here, which is, as the teacher, we're trying to provoke these awarenesses so that people notice something, but we're not, what doesn't work is giving somebody a bit of knowledge. When somebody is given a bit of knowledge, they're basically the same person, but with a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of extra knowledge. What we're saying is the person needs to change themselves. And the mechanism for changing ourselves is to notice new things in the world. And so that's what we want to do as teachers. We want as teachers to create situations where people can't fail to notice things about the world that are there to be noticed, and we'll end up with them being slightly different people, and as a result, having learned something about the world.